You're listening to the AFTERBUZZ TV network, now the largest new media platform on the web, and your #1 source for after-show entertainment.
Very good, Gene. Johnson.
From the AFTERBUZZ Studios in Los Angeles, California, presented by Maria Menounos and streaming live thanks to Akamai Technologies. This is AFTERBUZZ TV's Resurrection After Show. We'll break down tonight's episode and get you all the latest news and gossip. And now, another post-game wrap-up show for your favorite TV show. It's AFTERBUZZ TV's Resurrection After Show.
Welcome back, Resurrection fans. We're coming home into your home, or your car, or your office.
Scary.
Wherever
or the gym.
Or the gym. Wherever you happen to be listening to us.
But we're not stalking you. Promise.
It's the AFTERBUZZ TV recap of Resurrection Episode 4, Us Against the World. I'm your host, Zach Wilson, and joining me on tonight's panel, as always, we have Chelsea Briche.
Hi, guys.
G. Madison.
Hi.
And Matthew Lieberman.
Hello, everybody.
Hey.
What did you guys think of this episode?
I liked it. I liked the speed of it. Actually, I mean, it was slow, but it is Resurrection, and it had a nice pace to it. It was a lot of things that we expected were coming, but I liked it.
Mm-hmm. It definitely ratchets up the tension in what's already a very tense environment. We got to meet Rachael and understand what's going on between her and Tom, which is great. I love the complication of their relationship.
Love it.
And, having Caleb pull this robbery, landing him in jail, it kicks everything into high gear and forces everyone to confront some very harsh truths.
And even though it's always a slow pace, but so much happened. So I think for me, this was the episode that I'm actually really excited for now next week, because I feel like stuff is really starting to brew.
Well,
People are getting in trouble, so you like it.
Yeah. We're getting scandalous and relationships and all
this was
sorts
the
of
episode
stuff.
where the tension is finally where the stakes have been raised.
Yeah.
Here we have Caleb at gunpoint. There's a robbery. People are killed in this episode. We got one death before, but it was quick. This was shotgun.
There's some action.
Yeah, there's an action sequence, but there's also just a raising the stakes with the drama with Pastor Tom.
And also causing us to ask some serious questions when we get into Jacob and the fact that he can feel Caleb. What does that even mean?
Yeah, they're really driving home the fact that these people are not
Totally connected.
the same as they used to be.
Well, they found his stash. Oh, man, I felt so bad. I have a stash like that under my bed, too.
Yeah.
Of all these rappers.
Old beef jerky wrappers.
Yeah, and they found his stash. I feel bad for him. I mean,
Yeah, man.
They're going to cut his sugar.
Kids' midnight snacks are not to be messed
Cut
with,
out.
Okay? Exactly.
Yeah.
Thank you. What is this?
the
This
way
is
I
supposed
felt.
to be America.
That's the way I felt.
Small town America.
No privacy.
I mean, that's the thing for me that I'm sort of starting to realize with this show, and people have talked about the pace.
Yeah.
You're talking about it being slow, and I'm sorry, guys, I'm going to keep comparing it to Lost.
You're going to keep doing that?
Only because
Always.
what-
I just
since
said,
Lost-
don't
since-
do
Hear
it.
him out. Hear him out.
since Lost went off the air, all of the major networks have been trying desperately to recapture that sort of weekly, you have to see it, water cooler drama, and nothing has gotten it back yet. Network TV has not been there yet. This is ABC's newest entry into the can we find a new Lost?
Right.
So it's the inevitable comparison.
Yeah.
But the difference is for me, this is a sort of a small town version of that kind of Lost feel. It moves at that sort of small town pace.
Yeah.
It's slow. I'm still on the edge of my seat, waiting for next week and wanting to discuss all the craziness that's going on.
Totally.
But it's slower.
Yeah.
For good reason. It
It's
works.
okay.
But
Yeah,
it's
it does
cool.
work.
It totally works.
It's a quieter drama. It's more about the emotions of everyone involved as the mystery continues to deepen. I have absolute faith that by the end of this season, we're going to have some major revelations as to who and what these people are and what that means for, the world at large.
We can only hope.
Yeah, I mean, we're going to get into the fact. At the end of the episode, we're obviously going to get into what the scenes from next week, which contained a line that has me beyond excited. And I don't want to spoil it until we get into predictions. But the fact is, this may be a much larger situation than we previously realized.
Yeah, Steven in the booth is giving me a signal that lost is now being seen.
You just said it again, Zach.
Yeah.
He's saying it's a taboo word,
Yeah.
which is interesting. It's almost like it's like a curse in a way, like to be compared to it.
Right. So then maybe we should try not to curse this show as we enjoy it.
Because I like the
Let's do
show.
that.
This is resurrection. We aren't losing people. We're finding people.
Exactly. They're coming home, Zach. They're not landing somewhere else.
We have to go back. Sorry, it's the last one. That's
Last
the
one. Come on, let's get into it.
Let's get into. Let's start with Tom and Rachael.
Yes.
We opened this episode and like we closed last week on this crazy reveal. This person's back, and last week we didn't really know her story. Now we get it. She's his dead
Fiance.
Yeah, fiance.
Potentially the love of his life.
Which he just happened to leave out that minor detail
Yeah.
telling
You
his
can't,
wife.
you can't tell a woman everything.
What? That's really important.
You can't tell a woman because then they just take that and
Let
run.
me give you guys a little piece of advice. We will
Please.
always find out
Exactly.
whether
If
you
we
tell
tell
us
you.
or not.
You know what? It's always good to have a couple secrets in a relationship. Not you don't save some
Think about what you're
stories.
saying, Zach.
Save
You have a
some-
girlfriend.
You're walking a tight
all
rope.
all I'm saying is
You
there's
sit
always,
next to
always
her.
good to save some stories. Don't save the story about
your
your
dead fiance.
dead fiance
Who killed herself.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's a pretty big part of your life.
Exactly. It
He
may
didn't say
fuel a lot of your issues. You know, you need to be able to work that out. It can't entirely be private. And
Right.
frankly, you know, she needs to know that you had another really strong, powerful love in your life to really understand you and understand how your love together may be different.
But I think when people say I'm moving on, they feel like that means I'm totally going to ignore everything that happened in my past, which I think is the juggle. Like, what things do you move on from and then still hold on to the past? You know, and I mean, it's what Lucille is doing in a different way. I mean, it's what we're all doing in this show. Everyone's moving on in a different way, and you know, the pastor of all people of this town has secrets from his own wife. I mean,
I really
shaking.
like that because it's revealing another facet of the big question of how do we deal with loss, and I feel like that's. If that's not necessarily what the whole series is about, it's definitely what this season is about.
For sure.
Yeah.
Is how do we deal with loss, especially when we're confronted with it, you know, when something amazing happens and we don't necessarily feel the same way that we did. And now, complicating it even further by having the first person come back who took their own life and what that means.
And I think I said this while we were watching the show, and I don't mean this in the most twisted way, but I thought that was such a cool write-in because everyone, you know, has died by natural
Accident.
cause or total accidents. But I thought it was really, really interesting and a really cool throw-in that they said that she committed suicide.
Yeah.
Well,
Yeah.
we get it. It's like teased a little bit. When she just says, "Tom, I'm sorry. I'm so sorry," and we're like, "Sorry for what?" Like
Right.
my first thought was
Yeah.
like, "Did she cheat on him before she died, or like something else?" But we already got that storyline, so
Right.
I figured it wasn't that. But then she drove her car off a cliff.
Off a bridge.
Off a bridge. I'm
Bridge,
sorry.
bridge.
I was thinking the word bridge was in here, or the picture
Yeah.
of a bridge, but cliff came out.
And
Lost. It was lost. And
Yeah. But the exciting thing there is she drove it off a bridge, which means that she could have landed in the river, connecting us back to the theory potentially that the people who are coming back all had their blood or their remains in this river. at
2
some
is a
point.
coincidence. 3 is a pattern.
Right.
I'm surprised they didn't say anything. I mean, at least
Yeah, I was
it was
waiting
just
for it.
last episode that I mean, it was 2
Well,
days
it's
ago.
because Marty and Maggie don't know yet about Rachel's return.
Yeah, when they find out, which I'm assuming will be probably by next week, that's going to be, then they're going to start to connect those dots,
Yes.
and
Yeah.
they're going to dig into more who else's body has touched that river.
Yes.
Right.
But yeah, because Tom doesn't know that, can have that
Right.
connection,
He wasn't
especially
on
with
that
Caleb.
conversation.
He doesn't
Right.
know, but if he had the Caleb connection, he might put that together, but
Right.
he only has Jacob
You're right.
and her. But it's such a crazy thing. But the big thing that really sells this storyline for me is the idea of losing someone by essentially a reason that doesn't break your relationship. Like she
that
didn't.
again.
She other than like the suicide was selfish.
Right.
Right.
And he calls her out on that, and it's like always a selfish thing to do, and it's like she was in a dark place, but he just lost her in the middle. There wasn't like a wind down when then like they had to deal with being apart, like a breakup. And a normal breakup, you like that person's there.
When she died, they both still loved each other. That's
Exactly.
what you're saying.
Right.
Exactly.
They were
Right.
engaged at that point.
I hope.
Right.
I mean, why did she do that? I mean, it went from him proposing to her saying that I was unhappy.
Yeah, and then she was like, "But you were the only one that believed in me." There's
So
definitely
there's
more.
some secrets there. There's some
There's
more.
a lot there.
Well, from what she's saying, it appears she has a deep self-loathing streak. She didn't like herself, and because of that, if she didn't love herself, she couldn't believe, understand why he loved her, and the pain of that was too much.
She thought that he was too good for her and that she
Right.
was holding him back. And for somebody who hates themselves, it has that kind of like such low self-esteem.
Yeah.
That can drive somebody mad.
Yeah, you can't ask for love until you love yourself. You can't give what you don't have as well. I mean, you moving into a relationship like that and you have to give love to someone, you don't even have it for yourself.
Yeah.
Very well
It
said.
can be very tough.
Very well said.
And so next week,
Well, but can we get into the scene between Pastor Tom and his wife for
That
a hot
was
second?
Please,
crazy.
let's-
We finally like got to like have a conversation with her. We like saw her
Yeah.
briefly before,
Yes.
but nothing. We barely knew who she was.
I don't
finally
even know her name.
got
Yeah.
to see her.
But, they have this intense conversation. She's really upset with him for not telling her about that because obviously it means that he's hiding something, that he's not necessarily comfortable to talk about it because maybe he loved Rachael more than he loves his wife. And he kind of proves
Very
that tonight
clear.
by not
Very
sending
clear.
her away. And I'm like, what are you doing? You're going to blow up your life, buddy.
And what do we do when he started walking over to her at the tree?
And we're like, no.
Don't do it.
Oh, Pastor Tom, you're a bad, bad boy.
You
Pastor
need to repent.
Tom.
You need to repent.
It's a tough.
God
I mean,
say?
the thing is, it's one of those like all these characters. Put yourself in their shoes.
Yeah.
What would you do?
Oh man.
But the wife, I
don't
feel
know.
like she was just. I mean, she was like, you know what to do. Period. End. You know what I mean? But you guys out loud, they're like, wait. So what?
So what do you wanna-
What does he do?
Yeah,
you
it's
know?
like
kill
it's
her?
obvious.
Dead.
What she says, it's obvious what you need to do, and we're sitting there like, it's not obvious.
There's no
like,
black and white in
Isn't
this
it?
situation.
Send her away.
She's been dead for 12 years. She just comes back to life.
Yeah.
Like, who knows where her family
I mean, but
is?
what-
I
or,
feel
like,
like if
what-
she's and she's not like just this ex-girlfriend that is just in town for Christmas.
I
Like,
know.
Right.
You know?
I know. And like if it was just an ex-girlfriend, obviously you say
You say bye.
you're not responsible for their well-being.
Right.
They are their own person. They can
Right.
take care of themselves. It's like blunt and cold, but it's the truth. But the fact is he loves her so much his judgment is incredibly
man.
cloudy.
It's gonna be so
he
cloudy.
went to find her. He was searching for her, and he
in the
actually
place that he proposed
yeah.
to her.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
we should have called it when he had that recollection or that what is that word? Reminiscent vision of the place that he proposed to her,
Right.
that he was going to find her there. And so he does. He keeps searching the whole town for her. But it's like, I don't know. I mean, to be in his wife's position, I mean, there's a lot of insecurities that come up. A lot for her. I mean,
Sure.
I'm sure that
Oh,
she was kind of. I
absolutely.
mean,
to never know that he was in love, like serious love with
Yeah.
another woman.
Yeah.
Oh,
And
that's
she doesn't
like,
even know that he was engaged.
That's
Right.
like
She doesn't know
storm
that.
out of the
Missing that, yeah.
room. Like, that's bad.
Yeah,
that's bad news.
That's not like you didn't tell her about the time you went to Cabo with your buddies. That's
Right.
like,
yeah. But what's worse is that he kept even another secret from her. Like
That-
if
yeah,
you-
that he
if you're
was
gonna confess
engaged.
something, confess.
Get it all out.
Confess everything.
maybe
you're
he's
good-
trying to build
Yeah.
it slowly. Like, I'll get to that.
No, that's the worst way to do
Yeah.
it.
Yeah.
I'm not saying it was a good idea.
Just when she gets over it, he's gonna drop that they were engaged.
Yeah.
You know, it's just bad news. But here's the worst thing, right? We've got a guy who is a man of God, who's a representative to the people, who's supposed to talk about, how do we handle this huge situation and how does it affect our faith? And he's confronted with the thing that he probably prayed to the Lord hundreds of times to give him, her return.
Yeah.
And now he got what he wants, and he can't have it without doing some serious
Ruining
damage.
His
Yeah.
current life, yeah.
What if
The temp-
that's it? It's just God answering like a couple, but he's like really behind on his emails.
Right. But that's the thing, is it's our first
Spam.
example of a return causing serious temptation.
Which is great. I mean, I
Yeah.
really love this whole situation.
Yeah,
I
you
do.
do love it.
It
Look at you.
spices
because
things
it's-
up.
You look
it
at you.
needed it. I feel like the show just started. I feel like it was a little dry. You know what I mean? Like
we need a romance.
We
We
needed
need
that
the other
drama
woman
that,
to come
yeah.
around.
Yeah.
Oh yeah,
And
now
you
we
knew she was coming.
Now we have our triangle, our big will they won't they. Like
Right.
Maggie and Marty, we kind of have the
they will.
they won't
They
they, but
will.
it's pretty clear that they will.
Right.
This is a will they won't they that is
They will too.
going
It's
to
like-
damage things because
Yeah.
and when he's walking around looking for her. He's seeing all these young, happy couples, and that I think hits him really
Yeah.
hard because
Could be me.
he lost her when they were a young, happy couple. When they're in that just hormone raging
Puppy love.
mid-20s, not quite puppy love because they'd been together for long enough to get engaged.
Sure.
but
Yeah.
young enough that they're still there's a bit of infatuation mixed in with the love
Yeah,
still.
yeah.
Whereas his wife, they're in the comfortable, this is our life together stage.
Yes.
Yeah.
And he's now, but Rachael is exactly the way he left her.
Right. Oh, that's tough. So
Yeah.
she ignites that same little childish or young
infatuation.
young man.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And you can tell just even the way that she looks at him, you know?
It's on. It's on
is-
like Donkey
it is
Kong.
on.
And he's fighting it with all of his body.
Did you see his? What a good job. He
Not
did in
all
this
of his
episode.
body.
Not all of his body.
Well, he doesn't do
He
anything.
did reach
doesn't
out
do
and touch her,
anything
didn't he?
here.
I know, but he still
He's going
didn't leave
to.
or tell her to leave.
Yeah.
You know, you heard him.
Yeah.
I
don't want to leave, but I can't stay.
right.
And actions always speak louder than words. And,
And
he was
yeah.
not walking.
That
so.
sun was setting.
Yep.
Yeah.
I mean, it was a great performance from Mark Hildreth.
Oh, he did
Absolutely.
great.
I was convinced I could see the struggle on his face.
Yeah, that was awesome.
Going back to my acting days, it was like, that your acting teacher says, it's not about trying to cry, it's about holding back the tears. Oh, man, wasn't he holding back everything?
Yeah,
though?
you could see
It
it,
was
in
great,
his eyes. That was
yeah.
good.
It was tough, but who didn't hold back in this episode at all was
on.
Caleb.
yeah.
He just went nuts.
well, not nuts. He had planned this out, but
No, Caleb is nuts.
he's not nuts. He's just
I mean,
a criminal.
He murdered a guy.
That guy wasn't supposed to be there. He didn't know that they'd changed the policy, that
Yeah,
his
all right.
own robbery had
Let's-
changed bank policy
Let's
forever.
get up to that. So we open up on the murder investigation.
Settle down,
Yes.
settle
And
down.
this whole thing, we open up on the murder investigation
Of Dale.
of Dale Gellhard. Gellhard?
Gellhard?
Yeah,
Gethard?
something like that.
Yeah.
And Marty basically just walks up to Freddy. He's like, "Here's what happened. I got it all figured out. You don't even have to think about it."
Break it down.
Marty is an amazing
Marty is just
cop.
getting it. I
Yeah.
love Marty.
But it kind of is. It's good to see him and Fred kind of working
Connect.
together because they have been butting heads. But
Yeah.
when Marty
Absolutely.
presents him with this, Fred's not sure what happened, but Marty comes in with the exact theory. He's like, every bit of that fits.
Yeah.
it
And
down.
all of a sudden, he's like, we should work together.
I love this uneasy alliance. They work really well together on screen, and even though it's this uneasy trust, makes it a lot of fun because you're always wondering when is that trust going to
Gonna break,
end,
yeah.
and how will it break?
Well, how nice is it when he looks over and says, "No, answer his question"? I say, "Oh, look
Yeah.
at them."
Oh, back up. Bad cop.
back me
Bad
up, brother.
cop. Good cop. Bad cop.
Answer his question. Oh, even
Yeah.
to what was her name?
Elaine.
Elaine.
Yeah, but then Marty and Maggie are talking because he brought Maggie to the crime scene.
Of course he did.
Because
Bring your girl. You bring
He's
your girl.
so professional. Marty is the most professional.
Come on,
Maybe
baby.
you forgot this from your cop days,
Yeah.
but we have something called a medical examiner.
Sick
Yeah, that was-
burn.
Come on,
Such
baby.
a
You want to see some
burn,
dead bodies?
Fred.
He's just
Yeah.
showing off. That's all he's doing.
Yeah.
But they say because they're talking about Caleb, or at least how she remembers Caleb. He wasn't a murderer,
Right.
and for all we know, beforehand he didn't murder anybody. He seemed to have planned this in
But
a way where he didn't have to
he's-
kill anyone.
Yeah.
Right. Well, yeah. There was no one in that back, so he didn't have to.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But I feel like if you're still planning out to rob a bank, that doesn't make you an angel. Like
Oh,
you
no,
still
no, no.
have something still wrong with
He
you.
can still be a bad guy.
Not a bad guy, but
He's
like
not evil.
But he hadn't. We don't know that he
Yeah.
necessarily crossed that line before,
Right.
into
Yeah.
killing someone. But now he's done it potentially twice.
Right.
I will say that we didn't.
We didn't see him murder
We
Dale.
didn't see him. Well, we did see
Yeah, we
him
did.
murder Dale.
Oh.
We very visibly.
Oh
saw-
yeah. With the hammer.
with a hammer when he walked into his
was like
house.
this.
Just,
Well, we saw
boom.
him bring it down once. We didn't necessarily see
I was just
him
gonna say
finish
we
the
could
job.
throw a wild.
Well,
Come on.
All right.
We're not friends. Can I sit over there?
I was
I'd like
gonna
to sit over
say-
there.
Yes, come over to our
I was gonna
side.
say with the wild, if I throw out a wild theory that I'm not even sure I agree with, but like potentially because we never saw Caleb remove the mask, it could have been somebody else.
No.
I don't think so.
I'm not saying it is.
Potentially.
I'm just
yes,
saying.
You're right.
If you take a giant left turn,
It's the motorcycle that Ray gave him, and like he's calling his daughter and say,
You keep
"What?"
your-
Stephen Lemieux, our engineer, keeps popping his face out in the awkward window that
'Cause
we
he
have here in the studio.
Well, for two reasons. Because you're talking too loud. Okay? He has to turn you down.
never too loud.
And second,
Matt, always be
because-
talking loud, please.
Be talking
Can I-
loud.
But let's get back to
Please.
we could talk about Matt being loud all day, but let's talk about Marty and Fred.
With your inside voice.
Yes.
They go to see Elaine because it all makes sense. It's the same thing. It all fits. They found the mask and
They found the toolbox with the hammer in it.
That he washed.
Yeah. They don't really wait for Elaine to ever say yes, which I'm pretty sure is
Oh,
police
when they ask
procedure.
her to come in?
They're like, "Can we come in?" And before they're already inside by the time she says sure.
Foot up
But I
and
just feel like
raised.
there's no rules almost. You know what I mean? Everyone's so close. It's such a small town. They all know each other. Like you couldn't think that Fred was gonna wait for Elaine to say, "Can I see your warrant?" Like
The fact
you
that
know,
he asked
that's-
was interesting.
Yeah, they're family.
Yeah.
They're family friends. His daughter and Elaine
Yeah.
have been friends their whole life.
Yeah, but
Yeah,
if they
he's
don't
just
wait,
gonna-
if they don't get a yes, we can
Technically,
enter.
they can throw it out,
Yeah,
yeah.
it's none of it is missable. Now, once they're inside, he can search the
Right.
toolbox and everything because he's like, "Can I search this?" And she doesn't say anything, and he's like picking up the hammer. So they can do. Once you're inside,
Okay.
they're fine. But they find the toolbox and they're like, how many people wash a hammer?
Right.
Which is
No
true.
one.
When was the last time you washed?
I washed my
a hammer?
screwdriver, but not my hammer.
You
Why
know?
are you washing your
Why?
screwdriver?
It was a really bad joke.
Okay.
I'm trying to follow you.
The thing.
Thanks, guys.
The thing to remember here. I can't remember who says it in the episode, but I think it's Maggie who brings up the point that yeah, Caleb never murdered anyone when he was alive before, but these aren't necessarily the same people that they were before they died.
She says,
Right.
"Is this Caleb different?"
Is this Caleb different? And it's a very pressing question, very relevant question to bring up because their biology is different. Their metabolism is sky high. You know, they're not sleeping, they're eating all the time. We don't necessarily know anything about these people and what they're capable of and what's different about them psychologically.
Right.
It's
And how do you test that?
It's interesting
Yeah.
to see because we didn't really see these people. We've seen clips and flashbacks and stuff, but we didn't know these people back then. Now we have to get to know these versions, and then we're slowly getting what's different between them.
Yeah, and trusting the people who are talking about them as well, that they're not the same. And you know, I think Henry definitely has been onto something that is very true. This is not our Jacob. This is not our Caleb.
Yeah.
And what will be interesting to find out is how different Rachael is, how very different she is. I mean, if she hated herself before, does she love herself now? Or, you know,
Yeah, because she
Yeah.
says outright, I don't want to die anymore.
anymore.
Yeah. Well, she comes back. I mean, just coming back like that alone is enough. Like it's the same thing as somebody who does try to commit suicide and fails.
Right.
They're given like they feel like they have a new lease on life.
Although I will say that's not necessarily
Not always,
a given.
but in some
Right.
cases,
Yeah.
people certainly if they try and then they fail, they survive by some odds. They're
Or
like,
they may change their mind before the end actually comes. It's just too late to do anything about
Yeah,
it.
so maybe that in that instant before the car hit the water,
Yeah.
she changed her mind.
Yeah.
We don't know.
And I mean,
No, but they
it's-
said that there was no. Remember when they were talking about how they proved that she didn't press on the brakes?
She didn't press on the brakes,
accelerate.
but I'm saying once the car is off the bridge as it's going in.
When it's in the air.
In that
yeah,
instant,
right before
Okay,
it hits,
well,
she changed her mind.
yeah.
no,
then-
well, in that instant, you have that regret, that moment of like, wait, why did I do this?
Yeah. Like wait
Right,
or no or
I'm sure, but at that point she can't. I mean,
But that's
can't
what
do
we're
anything
saying.
about it.
Yeah.
Is like oftentimes that moment can come like, you know, if it had been pills where at that point you're too weak to pick up the phone and save your own life.
Right.
You know, for whatever reason.
Yeah.
She may have changed her mind. She didn't say that explicitly in this
Yeah.
episode, but we can speculate.
But now that she survives, now she has that mentality of that
Absolutely.
instant before.
But maybe she's looking at Pastor and she's saying, wow, you're hot. You're still.
You grew up into a man.
I did
man.
a quick aside. I like how when their way of like making him look younger was to just put her in like a ringer tee.
Yeah, exactly.
Like that was it. It's just like
Yeah,
he's
like
25. He's
12
wearing ringer tees.
Is it a woman thing though? Like because usually the guy breaks up with the girl, and then he changes his mind because men do things irrationally. Right. Do women often do that? Do they change their mind afterwards and say, what was I thinking?
After a breakup.
I don't want to die. I don't want to be away from you. I don't want to be broken up anymore. Does that happen? With you, I'm asking. I'm does that happen? Does that happen a lot with women? Do you hear that amongst your girlfriends?
No, I mean, I think always, especially after a fresh breakup, you always go back and forth in your head, but I think it's just the comfort, like I miss this and I miss that comfort of the way that it was.
Sure.
But I think once you keep, once it just evolves, you're like, this is happening for a reason. We didn't work out because of X, Y, and Z.
It's the same. It's the human thing, and I think it's what a lot of these people are dealing with, and why people are saying like Caleb could never have killed somebody and stuff, because you, after a certain amount of time, you start to remember them. You pick out the things that you want to remember.
Right, you hold on to the memories.
Either you forget all the bad things because you want them to, you see them as good, or you forget all the good things because you only see them as bad.
Sure.
Which is a lot. And Caleb, people have kind of, because he just died. He died young. People kind of put him on a pedestal to a certain extent. They didn't think he could have killed these people. They didn't investigate him because he was dead.
It was at the time it felt like a coincidence that he died on the same day of this robbery. It's why he was never there was no money ever found, and he died, so he was never a suspect.
Exactly.
But now all the evidence is pointing his way, and
straight towards him.
There's nothing that can really be done about it, and we get this this explanation from Fred of how the original robbery went down.
They open with that really cool flashback. They like have the picture of the shot, and it looks almost like a security camera footage as they dissolve into it. It looked really cool.
Yeah.
The back and forth, it threw me off a little bit.
The transition from the past into the present.
Right. If you didn't say that, I 100% missed it.
Out of the four of us, only Matt really connected the fact that it was a new crime. Like, we were just so caught up in the flashback, and even when they said there was no third man, in my mind, for a second I thought it was just that was the first crime, and it was like,
and that Fred had never knew about the third man, and that something had happened to him.
Yeah.
And maybe he was buried into those holes that he was looking at.
Even after Elaine was wearing the exact same clothes.
Well, that's what I said out loud.
That's why we were like, wait a minute.
Okay.
And then it started off.
Thank God,
I just thought it was a mistake.
I thought that it was a very elegant way to convey the information, but it may have confused some people.
It was very cool, but it did throw us off.
Yeah.
Sorry, Matt, we're not.
Sure. No. It's okay. No. I'm not being that guy.
You're just
But I'm
superior
I'm thankful that Marty came out and said he did it again. That really put the nail in the coffin, so to speak.
Yeah.
But so Caleb gets away at this point. Like he goes back and Ray's there, and Ray he goes in and Ray's on the phone.
Ray calls the fuzz.
Yeah, because Ray is the watchdog. Ray knows what's up.
Yeah.
Ray.
He from the very start was like, that is not my father.
Yeah.
That man in there.
Do not trust. Ray does not trust him for a heartbeat
at all. He never has since the second he came back.
Yeah.
So he was definitely on the phone with the police for sure.
100%.
Oh yeah. But they can't get there fast enough if Caleb makes a break.
Well, even before that, he calls Elaine, and he tells her something that he probably told her a million times when she was young, which is, I got to go away for a while. A friend's got this real estate deal that I got to work out. It's us against the world, Lainey. Us against the world. Yeah. And that's why she tries to protect him. She's got this old set of patterns. She's got this nostalgia for him, thinking of him as a better father than he was. She tells that story later to Maggie about how when kids were picking on Ray, her father went and put the fear of God into the parents. Right. And, she always felt safe when her father was around. He was protective, but he was not a good person.
Which brings us back to the last episode as well, which is saying that these beings or these returned, right, are coming back with just enough information to get back into the lives that they were in, which is why he put his arm around his daughter and leans there on that porch and tells her all these things and has that moment with her. So then it makes it kind of like he planned it so perfectly.
He's buttering her up.
Oh yeah,
Yep.
Absolutely.
Oh yeah, just
But
lathering
that
it.
whole scene was so
Creepy.
to me.
The scene last episode on the porch.
Yes,
Yeah.
yes, with Caleb and Elaine, it wasn't father and
didn't
daughter.
feel
It
warm.
was
Yeah.
was not warm. It was
It was
felt like it was
inauthentic.
so heavy.
In a
like,
way,
it had a lot behind
it feels like all three of the returned are seducing the people
Yeah.
that they're brought back to. Not sexual seducing in all,
But
in all
you're
cases.
absolutely
that's-
right.
Jacob is
awesome.
seducing Lucille with the temptation of having her son back. Caleb is seducing his kids with the concept of having or more specifically Elaine with the concept of having her father back, and then
Yeah.
Rachel is
seducing
seducing
Tom in more ways than one.
What
Yeah,
up?
and every one of those people, they have their significant other, which is Tom's. I mean, you would say his wife, but Tom's congregation, which is like on the fence, totally on the other side of the fence. And then you have Henry, who's still on the other side of the fence. And then who's the
Ray.
other one? And then you have Ray,
Ray.
who's definitely on the other. So it's nice that you have that dichotomy throughout both all those relationships.
everything's very split.
Yeah, and there's so much to talk about, and we're gonna get into where they find Caleb later on. But first, we're gonna take a quick break and talk about iTunes. Don't skip this. I know you want to.
No, you don't.
You don't. It's fun.
I know you want to, but you want to hear more about iTunes more. Well, that's
course
got
you do.
really confusing there for a second. Anyway,
We're with you.
guys. We love doing this podcast. I love doing this podcast, coming here every week and doing with this amazing panel, and we
We
want
love
to do
you,
it for
Zach.
you. Thank you, Matt. But I love our fans even more than I love you guys.
Yeah. That's okay.
We have some of the best
comments,
fans.
yeah.
And like every time you guys rate and comment, I find it and it makes me smile. I love seeing a little 5-star rating. I love it.
Giving you some background.
Yeah,
Thanks,
Nice.
Steven.
We need you. We need your help to make this show the best it can be. We need your help to get cool people to come on this
can't.
show so we can say, hey, ABC, hey, Resurrection,
Come with
bring your
me."
people on our panel. You can be that person. You can be the one to drive us over the edge and make us the #1 Resurrection
Let's
podcast.
do it, guys. Come on.
So let's give some shout outs quickly to some wonderful people who rated us on iTunes.
Love talking.
Niter AM555 says, another great AfterBuzz podcast. Fun and interesting discussions and theories. Anyone else notice that Helen is the same actress who was the mother in the movie Flight of the Navigator about a boy who was abducted by aliens and returned 13 years ago, not having aged a day?
What?
Definitely an interesting
Oh.
connection. Mind blown.
I
I
can't
got chills
stand
on
Helen.
That's great.
So I'm gonna have to
He
find.
actually has physical chills.
We're gonna
That's
have to-
actually
Yeah, that's pretty
amazing.
good.
Rewatch Flight of the Navigator now.
Yeah.
And look into that.
Great find.
Pit29 says, great group of hosts. I listen to a couple of other AfterBuzz shows, and I really enjoy this group. You stay on topic, and I like the fact that you all offer different and interesting theories.
Do we stay on topic?
Mad Mimi60 says, great podcast. I'm a super fan of The Returned, the book.
Okay.
And hoping this will be as good as the show. These guys are doing a great job on the podcast.
Oh, well,
Thank
thank
you.
you.
Oh, well, I'm assuming she's talking about the book, actually.
Yeah.
The French show that people have been comparing it to
Yeah.
has the same name. They are completely different.
Yes.
They're just to clear that up for anyone that is confused about that. The French series, The Returned, and this series, Resurrection, are completely separate. They have a
Yes.
similar concept, but they are not the same. They are not.
Got it. Got
It's
it.
not an
make things,
adaptation.
enough.
to make things even more confusing, Resurrection is based on a book called The Returned.
Yeah, it's
but
very-
The Returned is based on a French movie that I believe is called After You've Gone, or like something like that. I could be wrong about the title of the French movie, but it's not.
Yeah, but and there is somebody supposedly adapting the French Returned for an American audience, but we're talking about Resurrection
Even
here.
more confused.
Just want to say quick to
Sound-
Jules Hopkins Cobb and Andy McKesick. We couldn't get to read your full reviews, but thank you for giving us 5
What
stars.
up, Jules
each.
Hopkins Cobb?
Thank you.
They said Jules Hopkins Cobb said love the podcast, and Andy McKesick said lover of the show and you guys.
Oh,
Amazing.
well,
Thank you.
But so let's jump right back into. Let's go back to Caleb for a minute because
Yes.
the standoff. They
Yeah.
track him down because of Jacob feeling him.
I know.
Jacob feels his presence.
Just say that.
In
Yeah, that sounds better.
Henry's old factory.
Yeah.
Which we still haven't gotten into what happened to the factory and why it's completely broken down.
No,
Right.
have they even mentioned the factory?
No.
before
They've
this?
mentioned the only time that the factory was mentioned was when Henry originally told Fred about Barbara and Sam about their affair. He said it was someone who worked at the factory.
That's
with
right.
Fred.
That's right.
Yeah.
Good memory. Good memory.
But yeah, so now we're seeing the factory. It is not just closed down; it is run down.
Yeah.
Like there's holes
Yeah,
in the
no one's
ceiling.
been there for
and-
years.
Yeah, it's they own it. As Fred says, it's it's my family's factory. But they know that Caleb's in there, and they storm the place, which they drive up with very loud sirens to like.
Yeah,
I
Chelsea
know,
pointed that
was-
out. Yeah.
That was so stupid to me.
It just.
We're coming.
Like, yeah,
Yeah,
Hi.
she's
Hey.
shouting about it, like, turn the sirens up, and we're there, like, yeah, they
Like,
really.
so not
Right,
stealth
because he
about
could have
that.
just bolted again.
They're basically,
Right.
Hey, Caleb, we're coming.
Yeah.
If you like to run, this would be your
Right.
opportunity.
Like,
Yeah.
he had time to take another bite of his dinner and put out the fire. Like, he's just hanging
Yeah.
because he knows exactly where they are by the sound of the sirens.
Which scared me a lot. The fact that he was so calm with that. See?
They're coming.
See?
They're coming.
See?
To come, and Caleb starts talking and putting out the fire, and it's like
Right.
as if he's talking to Elaine. I want they kept it in that really tight shot. Do you think maybe it wasn't her? Could there have been somebody else there?
No.
I'm sorry.
yeah.
I don't think so. I think it was it was a soliloquy. You know, he had hoped that Elaine wouldn't. He basically, it's him saying that he thinks Elaine gave him up, which obviously she didn't. Jacob's
Right.
the one that found
Yeah,
him.
that's why he repeated that line.
Yeah.
Yeah. Us against the world.
He's
'Cause
like,
that's
"Yeah,
what he said
right."
on the phone.
Yeah, he's like, yeah,
Yeah.
right. Why'd you give me up? Like, I thought we had this figured out. But
Yeah.
back to what I was saying is that how calm he was
Mm-hmm.
during that time actually made me really nervous for Marty and Fred coming to him and then coming out there so bold. I thought this
Putting
guy.
up
For
zero
a hot
fight.
second, I thought we were going to see like a huge twist and he was going to just use a blast of
Powers.
energy out of
Yes.
his hand and like run off and we would have been like, what? But
And then
no.
and then Coulson comes in and he's an 084. And
Exactly, and it's suddenly we're in Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. territory and it's crossover episode. But that's not what happened. Instead, no powers yet. But I'm gonna call it. I'm gonna say eventually there's
gonna have
gonna be
powers?
You think so?
someone's gonna have powers.
No.
I can't let go of it.
I don't think that's what this show
don't
is.
They can feel each other. That's a power.
That is a start. It's a very interesting twist.
yeah.
Yeah.
And it starts when they're looking into Jacob and what's wrong, because we found out in this episode that he has epilepsy.
Right. We had no idea that he had previously, even when he was alive before, he
Right.
was an epileptic, and this condition carried over even after he came back.
Yeah,
How
and-
Lucille knew how to look out for him.
Which
and hold him.
is an important reminder because it means that it's not just the memories that are the same. We had
It's
talked about that
yeah.
theory at one point, but physical ailments also return. So they really are pretty perfect copies.
which could be an implant as well.
It could be, but that speaks to like a serious level of mimicry.
I mean, if
Yeah.
you grow somebody from DNA,
Mm-hmm.
if you imagine that these people have been scientifically grown to be clones, that's all genetic. It's all
Okay.
built into who you are.
epilepsy is genetic.
I believe so.
Okay.
I have no idea.
Tweet at us, let us know.
Yeah.
We should know, but I don't.
I'm not as knowledgeable as I should be on this, but it's not something caused by outside force. You can't catch epilepsy or
Right.
anything. It is
Yeah.
something in your biology.
right.
So it stands to reason that if these people are clones, this adds to the clone theory that they're all their diseases. And
But
illnesses.
if they were designed to do what they're doing, coming back to this city, to this town, then it makes sense that they would be given the pieces of their puzzle to make them fit right
Yeah.
back into.
and
I don't think he was faking that at all.
Oh no!
No,
but-
I don't think he fakes his memories either. I think they're in there.
Yeah.
But I don't think they're in there from the start. I think
Well,
they were
the-
implanted.
The
in
interesting here's an interesting theory. What if if they don't know
These theories,
that
guys.
they are something else, like if they're like pod people,
Sleeper
per
cells.
se,
That's what I'm saying.
sleeper cells, yes,
Yeah.
I go back to Invasion of the Pod People, just in this.
Here we go.
Like
You
those old movies.
Strap in.
Invasion of the body snatchers,
thank
not
you.
of the pod
yeah,
people.
but they're called pod people.
Right.
Either way. What if these people don't remember that they are these pod things, and they're trying to reconcile these forced memories that truly make up who you are as a person, and they have to deal with the fact that and eventually that they are supposed to turn on these people that they have been conditioned to love.
That theory would have made more sense to me if we hadn't met Rachael and her to be just as in the dark as Jacob. But Caleb seems to be the only one who has an agenda and knows more than the other two.
Yeah.
When we had just Jacob, then we could say Jacob's a little kid. He doesn't know much.
Well, what if Caleb's a leader alien pod person who is aware, but he's slowly bringing in his army, positioning them until he activates them, as Steven said, sleeper cell, where they don't always know. It's just one thing triggers it, and
or I think it may be a easier to swallow theory that Rachael is so consumed with getting back the man that she loves that she hasn't revealed yet that she knows more than she's talking about.
Rachael is on a mission. I think.
What if Tom Hale is important in this Grandmaster plan? We need Tom on our side, and that's why she's seducing him.
Rachael is going to get exactly what Rachael wants. Whatever that is, watch. She's going to.
Spoken like a true woman. Guess what she wants.
But before we get too off topic, let's keep talking about Jacob.
No, we're on topic.
Yeah,
we're on
we
topic.
are way on topic.
Yeah, man.
But let's talk about Jacob a little more, because there's so much to deal with here, because we're brought more into this theory into the fact that they not only don't sleep, but they've been eating a ton.
Right.
They have energy to burn at all times.
Their biology is radically different. They're always on. They can't turn themselves off. They can't go to sleep. The big question is why. And then we also have the added psychological trauma that is these kids sneaking up and trying to get a look at the ghost boy. Yeah. People are talking about it in town. This is something that people are talking about. It's not just a rumor. People are very concerned. And I'm wondering why no one has told, we're not talking about the people who really know what's going on and have seen the return, but why have none of the townspeople tried to leak this to anybody?
Well, it's only been a few days. Maybe they have tried, but people are like, no.
Right.
Are you
That's
stupid?
crazy. Are we the National Enquirer?
Yeah.
No. Yeah.
But then eventually, Marty's not going to be able to keep it quiet for very long.
Sure.
The government's going to get interested, and we're going to have some ET stuff going on.
Marty has
I'm
a
excited
new
about
life.
ET stuff.
He has a new life. He is not ever going back home.
No.
He's like, this is good stuff
Yeah.
here. I'm staying here. Well,
Arcadia and Maggie are just going to be his life.
Yeah. The congregation's really got to have their hands full with this, especially because they had a hard time accepting Jacob the way they didn't. And, just being in the congregation now, their leader, their pastor, is now not only accepted Jacob, but now possibly
getting involved with one of these things.
Prediction, he actually divorces his wife to get there, and which
100%.
Which breaks. I mean, that's the religion.
He's not going to start with the divorce, though. It's going to be temptation, affair, divorce.
You think they're gonna have a Super Bowl before that?
Yeah.
There's no way. There's no way he goes about this properly.
No.
Are you kidding?
You can tell in his eyes. He's
weakness.
not resisting.
Yeah.
The question is how quickly it is, and how quickly the wife jumps on it.
I'm so
half
shocked.
an episode.
How is it that none of us have faith that he's going to be faithful to his wife?
The way he looked at her.
You can tell.
Yeah.
The way he walked toward her and reached
touched
out.
her hand.
That look.
Woo. Done.
I'm a straight man, okay? And my knees were shaking.
They were buckling just a little bit.
Said, you look at me like that, Pastor Tom. Shoot.
Pastor Tom bringing that fire.
Bringing that heat. Bringing the wrath.
But another.
But like I said, that congregation's got their hands full. I mean,
Helen is gonna lose her mind.
Okay, so here's the thing, guys. Another couple that is dealing with returned in their life is Lucille and Henry, and they're really struggling with it. And we saw more last episode, and we see again this episode. She's sleeping on the couch, and he wants to take care of her. Like, he doesn't want to hurt her, and he tries to Henry tries to apologize
in his own way.
Yeah, he's like, it came out wrong, and she's not buying it.
Yeah.
How long have you accused me?
Because of what he said was so heavy. And you can't just, as you're passing each other on the porch, say, oh, by the way, I'm
Right.
sorry. It's not like he said you're having a bad hair day. You know, he accused her of something really heavy.
That,
and really
he's been
emotional.
holding on to for years.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think he was apologizing for hurting her, not for saying it. That's kind of like what
Yeah,
guys do.
I'm
what it
sorry.
sounded like.
It's
Yeah.
that old, guy apologizing to a woman. I'm sorry you got mad.
I'm
Right.
sorry
Yeah.
that hurt you.
Right.
Yeah. I'm sorry you're upset. Can we get over this?
Right.
Not I'm sorry that I've been harboring these horrible feelings for years. I'm sorry that it didn't work
taking
out the way
some
that I
credit
wanted.
for your mistake.
Good for Lucille
Right.
to actually look at him though, and the way she pulled
She's
back.
got
on him and said,
serious backbone.
Yeah.
I really respect her.
I do too.
Yeah, but he does shake her faith a little bit when he says again to her, "What if he's not the same?"
Well, I think she's only shaken now because she's starting to realize that things are off with Jacob.
Right,
Purely
yeah.
just
When-
like the metabolism, etc.
When Maggie tells her about that,
Well, at that point, she's already found like the wrappers and things.
Right, so
and-
she knows something
yeah,
isn't
so
adding up.
when she hears that, like that sort of rocks her to like she's not willing to give up yet.
Right.
She still thinks it's Jacob, but he points out like you instantly grabbed onto this boy as your son, but.
Right.
What if he's not the same? Like, what if you have to entertain that theory
And
with
she
something
is.
this crazy?
And she is. She's just not telling him about it.
Mm-hmm.
That's
Yeah.
what sucks.
But I think that's smart of I think it's smart of her though.
I think she's
Why?
not telling him because she wants. It's
she
only
wants to
going to
figure it out
feed
for
what he
herself.
said to her before. She doesn't want to give him.
he's already putting
More.
up
She just wanna
enough
say
of
you're
a
right.
firepower.
He's already putting up enough of a fight. She's still trying
Right.
to get him to accept him and treat him properly. She doesn't want to bring this up until she has some evidence to back it up or she's reached a conclusion.
Because if she gives a little, he's gonna take a whole lot more. You know, she's like, by the way,
That's
I
true.
think you might be
I
onto
agree.
something.
Because he could kick
He's gonna-
he could kick Jacob out of the house. She doesn't want
Right.
him to kick him out of the house or to call the police,
would
call
be
the
extreme.
government.
You're
Yeah.
He
right.
would do something major
Yes, I understand.
Yeah.
I
to
agree.
protect his family.
Absolutely.
So she just has a little thing like, what's going on with him? She's not really necessarily agreeing that he's not the same Jacob. I don't think
She's not ready-
She's not crossed over that far.
She's not
yet.
ready
No.
to go there,
Yeah.
but she does know that something is wrong. I would say that.
Yeah, and then Lucille takes him to Maggie to get checked out, and like Maggie's taking the scientific approach. She's checking him, saying it's not. She's not seeing anything new with the epilepsy. It's about where it should be, and
Yeah.
if it happens again, they can try like a new medication or a new procedure. Epilepsy is something you can't really cure; you can only manage it.
Right.
And so they decide that Maggie will try to talk to Jacob to get through to him a little bit more.
Good plan too.
Yeah, she gets through. Well, she gets through a little bit. She doesn't get any really information except for I can feel Caleb, giant revelation.
Right.
Of,
But
like,
she does
But that-
connect with him.
Yes.
He is her cousin.
the dumbo story. I like.
I
that
loved
made
that.
me
That
was
smile.
cute.
I really, that was very relatable, and it gave us a nice view into, who she was when she grew up and who she is now. She's somebody who didn't have the greatest self-esteem when she was young. And she has matured a lot. She probably didn't have the happiest childhood between how other kids treated her and what was going on at home with her mother's death and her dad being so distant.
Yeah.
It's why I think she's so tough. She's dealt with a lot.
Well,
But
you
at
get
the same time, she wanted to make him feel really comfortable, and I thought that was really cool for her. Super sweet and just really caring, because I think she wants to so believe that Jacob is good, he's not going to pull a Caleb. So I thought that was really cool for her to take the time and twist that whole the whole concept of weird onto her, like taking it off of his shoulders for a second.
It's why Lucille said you can be
Yeah.
a good mom.
Yeah.
Well, it's a great way to
Yeah.
connect to somebody who feels like an outsider. To be like, we're all outsiders.
Right.
I'm an outsider too, but we can connect. We can be outsiders together.
And it's something that's so crucial for kids to learn, at that stage in life when you are, just kind of coming into yourself before you hit puberty, when life is difficult, to know that even adults who seemed normal, who seem like they have it together, they felt the same things that you feel when they were your age.
Yeah,
That
I think
connection.
these returned are really testing our humanity and really giving us a nice little check-in on how we really are.
Leading us back to the whole experiment theory
Right.
that someone's conducting an experiment on humankind and is trying to see through reintroducing these people what we're capable of.
What the human race will do
It's
when
a test.
Yeah.
It's a test either from.
I mean, everything is a test. I'm not sure. I mean, it could be it's all for a test, but I think big picture, everything's a test. We're all being.
All the time.
We're always having opportunity, a choice to accept or reject, and this is great.
I'm going to throw this out there, and I don't traditionally go towards the religious end of things. My predictions are typically aliens or something sci-fi. But legitimately, what if it's a higher power testing humankind and debating, kind of like, ironically, Noah's out in theaters, kind of like when God said to Noah, I'm going to flood the planet. I want to keep everything going, but I'm going to end all of the humans that are on the planet right now. What if it's a higher power debating whether or not Judgment Day is at hand?
Well,
what if this is Judgment Day?
It would be very interesting to see, because you don't see that really on television.
Yeah.
Right now, you don't see that sort of like God or gods dealing with human beings as a lower people. It would be very interesting to see how that would develop. Something I wanted to discuss with you guys a little bit. I did some research into the mythological Arcadia.
Oh yeah.
Very interesting stuff. I don't know if it's going to play out but it feels like the choice of Arcadia as the name of this town is a big decision. Like
could have been San Diego.
It could have been anything, any random name for a town. Arcadia has a lot of backstory to it.
No coincidence.
In ancient Greek mythology, Arcadia refers to there is an Arcadia in Greece, but what it refers to on a mythological scale is a place that is a vision of harmony with nature, like a fantastic place to grow crops and livestock, to raise life. And like the harmony with nature is the thing that I sort of grabbed onto. It's also it's like the place that in Arcadia of Peloponnesus is the home of Pan, which is the god of the wild, shepherds, and flocks.
Yes.
So you're saying, what if the planet itself is raising these people?
Well, I love the idea of harmony with nature, because we talked about the river. The river is like that's
rivers.
nature, and that there's so much green in this show that it's beautiful to look at, and it does feel very paradise-like.
I mean, look at the logo for the show. It's behind us right now. It's a single blade of grass with a bead of water about to fall off.
And what was we got a slightly different intro this week, which was the image of a tree over and over again. Which is tree of life.
Yeah.
And something that I thought was really, but just with the harmony thing, we got with the river and the death that had been there before in this paradise-like place, the amount of death from the Civil War. To bring harmony to that, it would have to bring life.
Yeah, what chemistry is
so cool.
What chemistry is changed because of all that? Yeah.
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 Oh, it's so cool.
And then,
That's a nice thing to chew on right there.
It's a very interesting. It could mean nothing.
Yeah.
But it could
everything.
just be a convenient name for the town. But I think that there's absolutely something there.
Well, I think we'll underestimate these writers if we don't look into it like you are. I really appreciate you doing that, because now,
thanks for sharing that.
yeah,
That's
now
cool.
we can look at this in a bigger scope of things. I mean, even so, there's still probably aliens, but Arcadia with this kind of soil or whatever is built around this historical name of city. I mean, we are in America, so I mean, it's not the Arcadia, but however. Everything is meant to be.
But like you say, not aliens and but not gods. Like, why can't they be the same thing?
Yeah. I mean, here's the thing. When you talk about a higher power could be anything. It's just accepting that humans are not in ultimate control of what happens in the universe.
Like The Happening. Remember that movie?
Yeah. I remember that happening. Yeah, it could be, what was it, the bees or the trees that was killing people?
Both. No, the bees were gone.
Okay, it was the pollen, right? Or
the bees disappeared, nobody knew why.
It's a terrible movie, I never...
What?
I mean, it's great.
No.
Okay.
Shut up. Are you kidding me? Sorry.
Yeah. But
now we're sorry
point
to
is,
whoever said we never get off topic.
A higher power could be God, it could be aliens, it could be just the life force of the planet. It could be Gaia, Mother Nature. We don't know what it is.
Or Father Nature.
Or Father Nature, sure.
But some
why do we need another dude in charge of stuff?
Thank you.
Yeah, please.
I'm with
Goodness.
it.
I think, but there's some. It'd be interesting to see if there's some kind of intelligent force behind the return, or if it is just a force of nature.
It could be the next stage of evolution.
Yeah.
I don't know. That could sound like the stupidest thing that's ever come out of anyone's mouth, or it could be brilliant. Who knows?
Well, I think that's what's going to
Time will
make this
tell.
all work is that I think it's going to make sense when it all comes
Yeah.
down.
Well,
it's
that's-
all going to be like, oh,
It has to.
of course.
I'm enjoying this show. I mean, the big twists are what make any mystery show
Mm-hmm.
You're right.
good or great, or good or bad. Is like, are they going to be great or dumb?
Right.
And it's we're just gonna. I love the guessing game. I love that game. And this episode keeps building towards more of that. Let's talk about let's take a news and gossip. And talk about ratings. Sure.
There
we
it goes.
go.
What are these gunshots?
Wrong soundboard.
But we got the show's still doing really well.
Yes.
I think everybody else is latching onto it the same way that we have. The initial ratings for Live Plus Same Day was it got a 2.6 in the demo, the main demo, and a 9.5 million.
That's great.
Viewers. And that's
That's a lot of people.
And then after 3 days for Live Plus 3, it got a 33% rise. It got a 3.7
overall
in the demo.
ratings.
Yeah, 3.7, and then 12.6
Million viewers.
12.6 million viewers total.
What do we start out with? Do we know?
Well,
Was it
the
18?
premiere got like 21 million viewers, but that's the premiere. You're always going to see a drop off, but to retain almost 50%,
Right.
Yeah. Oh, for sure.
And
More
to-
than half of the audience.
Yeah,
Yeah,
and,
it's more than
and then at 12 million, I mean, even with 9.5, like as that big of a drop, it still was the #1 drama that night.
Yeah.
on
Way
television, or at least on network television.
Good for them. Good for them.
And so I think with I continue to say I think hopefully a second season for this show because there's just so much more to this mystery.
Yeah, the buzz
Yeah,
is
they
still
can't
going. Yeah, I think
us
they're
off.
pacing it so well where we still want to talk about it. We're still excited about it, and it's not predictable at all, really.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Right.
but let's
That-
go into our
Yeah.
predictions.
Yeah.
Your AfterBuzz TV predictions.
I just want to say real quick though, just because the show is doing well doesn't mean you shouldn't be introducing it to your friends, or if they're asking
yeah.
you, should I jump into the show? Encourage them.
The
Let's-
answer
Be
is
kind
yes.
to your friends and tell them to watch this show. It's
Yeah.
fun.
Yeah.
And the more people that are watching it, the more people we can discuss it with.
Yeah.
Absolutely. And the
And
more theories we can get.
and definitely in second season.
Yes.
And third
Yeah.
and fourth.
All right.
What do you guys think? We got a little bit of a preview. This looks. It's again the preview. It looks nuts. It's we got SWAT guys coming into somebody's house. We got somebody says more are coming.
Caleb says more are coming.
Yeah,
Lots
more are
more,
coming.
Yeah,
more
he's
than
like
you
the
can
ring
deal with,
leader.
or more than you can handle.
imagine.
More
I
than you
mean,
can imagine.
that could mean it could not mean returned.
Right.
They said, we heard Maggie say there's another return, but I assume that's talking about Rachael.
Right.
I wonder if it's more returned are coming or more like police force, government officials.
No, return.
I think it's return. The question is Caleb telling the truth because he knows that they're coming, or is he making a threat that is ultimately empty? Is it a red
Well, when
herring
he
for
got
us?
handcuffed, he said this is just the beginning.
Right.
So he knows something, obviously, that no one else does.
I mean,
Something is going to
and
happen.
and we don't know if he's talking about them coming or if he's saying what else he has up his sleeve. You know what I mean? As
point.
an individual, there's so much more that I got
I mean,
for you
to me,
kinda
it
thing.
sounded like he's talking about whatever the bigger game is here.
That's
Like,
what
Oh,
I
for
thought
sure,
as
the
but
well.
game is not just stealing a bag of money. The game is something.
Correct.
Which is exciting
It's
to
a
know.
piece of the bigger thing.
It's exciting to know that we're going to get a peek under the hood of the series this early, and we're not, stranded without answers. That we're going to be getting more.
Yeah, I'm thinking next week, just based on seeing those SWAT guys, I think we're going
I'm
to get
excited
some
for
of the
what they're gonna-
government officials coming in. Somebody knows about it. Maybe it's not government. Maybe it's some private organization. Somebody is coming after Jacob.
All right. Well, either way, the tension is ratcheting up, and it
Yeah.
can only
It's
get
gonna be
even
good.
more
Oh,
tense.
I like tension.
Chelsea Briche, where can the people find you?
You guys can find me on Twitter and Instagram at Briche, CBRICHE.
And I'm on the same things, G Madison 4. I'm also doing Variety City TV, so look that up on YouTube.
All right, you can find me on Twitter at Matt Lieberman, MattLieberman. You can also visit my YouTube channel, youtube.com/Matthew D. Lieberman, to find all of my AfterBuzz TV, SourceFed, and sketches.
You can find me on Twitter and Instagram at @ZachWilson, and also here at AfterBuzz on Grimm, Archer, Helix. We're finishing out tomorrow.
Yes,
Big
the
finale
final
episode
one.
to talk about. That's going to do it. I'm Zach Wilson. Thanks for geeking out with us.
Thanks, guys. See
See
ya.
you next week.
From executive producers Maria Menounos, Kevin Undergaro, Phil Svitek, and the entire AfterBuzz TV staff, we would like to thank you for listening to the AfterBuzz TV network. To watch or listen to other after shows and post comments or questions, be sure to visit AfterBuzzTV.com. I'm Sir Richard Wentworth, and this has been a presentation of AfterBuzz TV.
Buzz you later.
The views expressed herein are those of the hosts only and do not necessarily reflect the views of AfterBuzz TV or its owners or principals.
Thank you for watching AfterBuzz TV on YouTube. For more of your favorite after shows and interviews, subscribe to our channel here, and be sure to share your opinion on the episode in the comment section below here. We'd love to see what you guys are buzzing about. Thanks again. Buzz you later.